we are getting quote unquote older each and every second. But is the system we use to gauge age obsolete? Yo, yo, yo! What is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run liftandbalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic manner. Today, we once again throw some shade at the literal age-old system that we intelligent walking apes use to gauge our age and, by association, our health. You know, that system that counts up a single digit each and every year, from the day we're born to the day our pretty cool meat suit hangs them up. We're talking chronological age. And more specifically, why we shouldn't use it for anything other than planning birthdays.
Yes!
And focus this newly gained attention to biological age, to gauge the things that truly matter. I mean, birthdays matter, but really only to some. Huh? What was that, production team? Oh, it's your birthday today. Yeah. No, I knew that. We're gonna celebrate right after this. Yeah. Our health. The thing that truly matters is our health. So we are once again exploring the topic of cellular and metabolic age, and in particular, some new research showing how eating habits and physical activity may play a role in regulating our biological clocks. So, in the next 14 minutes and 14 seconds, we're gonna review what biological age actually is, what we currently know about slowing it down, and the aforementioned research looking into how food and movement play a role. As always, we'll break down some tips and strategies along the way, because I know, you know, there's no better time to start investing and start taking back ownership of your most valuable asset. Your health. I was confident you would get it eventually, but we got a schedule to keep. All right, let's boogie and find out how old you really are. First, a quick refresher on biological age. As we talked about in a number of other videos, which I will all link below, age is literally just a number, a figment of society that has shaky at best associations with one's true health. And I bet you're wondering, why is this the case? Well, simply put, our current and future health is highly dependent on how the environment that we put ourselves in and the lifestyle we live interacts with our inner biology. Something that a number that increases on cue each and every year no matter what can even come close to representing accurately. So with that out the window, what other options do we have? Well, modern science has identified a number of biomarkers, or biological parameters, within us humans that better predict our functional capacity and age when compared to that age-old chronological number. This is known as your biological age. And if you're a little confused, don't sweat it. Let's simplify this to the max. At a high level, what this means is biomarkers are collected, many times being something like a simple blood draw. They are then run through an advanced artificial intelligence algorithm that has been built with thousands of different biological signatures that is continuously getting tuned with the more and more data that it analyzes. And the result is an estimate of one's cellular and metabolic age, aka an estimate of one's inner biological age. And it's important to note that this technology is in its infancy. And we continuously see and continuously expect vast improvements as the years go on. In fact, we already made it to the second generation of this snazzy technology. Pretty cool. And one of these newer second generation biological aging algorithms is the DNA methylation Grimm age clock, which has shown to outperform first generation clocks in predicting longevity and the onset of age-related pathological conditions and diseases. And it finds this improved accuracy by using both updated biomarkers and artificial intelligence algorithms, taking this cellular and metabolic analysis further and deeper. For example, one of the new data points that is being looked at is total number of stochastic epigenetic mutations per individual, which is also referred to as epigenetic mutation load. This is a biomarker used to measure lifelong accumulation of exposure-related DNA damage. And epigenetics, if you don't recall, is the science behind how our genes are expressed at any given time, something that has been heavily shown to be influenced by our environment. Now, you may be asking, why, Kev? Tell me why this all matters. Well, recent evidence suggests that there is an exponential relationship between age and epigenetic mutations, which is thought to be a consequence of cells slowly losing their identity or epigenetic expression as a byproduct of years of damage. Something that longevity guru Dr. David Sinclair explains ever so elegantly in his book, Lifespan. Good book. Now, what's been observed to date is that a higher epigenetic mutation load has been associated with age-related conditions and risk factors for metabolic disease and dysfunction, including many of the usual suspects: cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, hypertension, and neurodegeneration, which we all know ain't cool for biological school or biological retirement. Neither. So with this new technology, we now have the potential to identify the drivers of aging before they become noticeable symptoms. Yeah, I know. But what can we do from there? Is age reversal a thing? If you take a peek under the biotech hood, you'll find that what all this technology is actually doing is giving us objective data that we never had before. It's opening up our opportunity to baseline our current state in a way that was unimaginable 50 years ago, setting the stage for one to implement intentional and meaningful change that can be tracked at the cellular and metabolic level, giving us data points that we can correlate with subjective feel to build individualized health strategies, incorporating interventions such as diet, exercise, sleep, nature, and exogenous medications to alter our biological state for the better, and even possibly produce a younger cellular and metabolic you, as those silly chronological numbers keep on going up. I know, pretty crazy. So what exactly are the possible epigenetic impacts of improving lifestyle? Well, let me say this, the data is extremely fresh, like 5 years or less fresh, since the beginning of even looking at this kind of stuff. So in science years, that's yesterday. All this is preliminary, but here's what we got. First off, observational studies have shown that smoking-related DNA methylation modifications tend to reverse after smoking cessation in a time-dependent manner. Also, what we've seen is epigenetic age acceleration due to early life social adversities can be partially reversed by improving lifestyle and social conditions in adulthood. All pretty cool, but this one right here might take the cake. The healthy carrot cake. Oh no, yeah, no, we got cake for your birthday. Yeah. A 2019 pilot clinical trial conducted on 9 volunteers suggests that a 1-year treatment with a strategic longevity cocktail made up of a series of pharmaceuticals based on recombinant human growth hormone could reverse one's epigenetic clock and produce a younger biological phenotype, which is crazy to think, but this is the direction we're going in. And we gotta be real here. This extremely cool, small study had a lot of limitations and potential confounding factors. So no firm association or conclusions can be made. That being said, it certainly builds some promise and anticipation for future experiments, which ever so elegantly brings us to this new study. This study aimed to investigate whether modifying dietary habits and increasing physical activity have favorable effects on biological aging as it pertains to measurements using the DNA methylation Grimm age clock and epigenetic mutation load. And to do this, researchers took a retrospective look at data from the diet, physical activity, and mammography study, which was a 24-month randomized intervention among 219 postmenopausal women aged 50 to 69. Now, because pre and post intervention samples of blood and corresponding data were preserved and available, researchers were able to run these samples through the new biological clock algorithms, teasing out if dietary intervention and physical activity impacted participants' cellular and metabolic age. And I know, crazy that we can do all this with data collected before the technology was even created. What's gonna happen next? We gonna unfreeze Walt Disney? I did read that in the news recently though. And before we get into the results, let's look at what these interventions actually were. First, from a dietary perspective, it included replacement of refined grains with whole grains, consumption of at least one portion of raw vegetables and one portion of cooked vegetables for every meal, consumption of fish at least 2 to 3 times weekly, reduction of the consumption of fresh or processed meats to less than 1 time a week, consumption of at least 3 to 4 servings of legumes and pulses per week, daily consumption of at least 2 to 3 portions of fruit, a reduction of cakes and desserts to no more than once per week, no more than 1 portion of milk or yogurt per day, or 2 portions of cheese per week. This also included exclusive use of extra virgin olive oil for dressing and cooking fat, and limited alcohol to 1 glass of wine per day for women who drink regularly. In addition, women in this dietary intervention arm of the study were also requested to attend 6 group meetings and 8 cooking classes across the length of the study. All in all, if I had to summarize the eating habits, it would be a very Mediterranean-like way of eating throughout. Now, for the physical activity part, this is much shorter, simple, and straightforward. Participants were asked to increase their levels of moderate physical activity to 1 hour per day. So, what happened? Researchers computed the total number of epigenetic mutations and DNA methylation Grimm age measures at baseline and again at the end of the 2-year intervention. And after data quality controls and filtering, they observed a number of interesting associations. First, that a higher consumption of fruits and vegetables were associated with a decreased DNA methylation Grimm age measurement, whereas higher consumption of processed meats were associated with a higher epigenetic mutation load. Interesting. Next, they found that the dietary intervention led to a significant reduction in DNA methylation Grimm age measurements, whereas the physical activity intervention significantly decreased the epigenetic mutation load. And interestingly, there was no significant reduction of DNA methylation Grimm age acceleration associated with the physical activity intervention or epigenetic mutation load associated with the dietary intervention. So I think what this may be hinting is we may want both. Additionally, as it pertains to one of this channel's favorite recurring topics, chronic inflammation, it was observed that the dietary intervention impacted several regulating biomarkers, one being decreased levels of growth differentiation factor 15, a protein that is a biomarker for inflammation, as well as a regulator of apoptosis, cell repair, and healthy aging. And as we know from all the other videos on this channel, chronic inflammation is bad for biological business. So, what were some of the authors' final conclusions? They gotta think something, right? First, they stated that our results highlighted a significant slowing down of the epigenetic aging process because of improved dietary quality and increased physical activity. The dietary intervention led to a significant slowing down of DNA methylation Grimm age acceleration biomarkers, whereas the physical activity intervention had a significant effect on the total number of epigenetic mutations. Also adding, we provided a strong causal association of improving dietary habits and increasing physical activity on DNA methylation biomarkers of healthy aging. Certainly makes the 5-pound mushy membrane noodle. So what does this all mean and what can you do? If you couldn't tell by now, epigenetic aging research gets me all amped up. This is because, like I said before, it is some of the most advanced and informative ways that we can quantify what the hell is going on in our pretty cool meat suit and 5-pound mushy membrane. It's an approach that takes a holistic view of our health rather than narrow tests accompanied by even narrower treatments. And the most valuable aspect of data like this is quite simply the realization that you are in a lot more control than you may have previously thought. You have the power to implement meaningful change that not only provide and drive the so important subjective benefits of improved mood, feel, cognition, energy, and attitude, but also being able to quantify all of this at the cellular and metabolic level like never before imagined. And I, for one, believe that this is only getting going. Data like this shows how simple dietary and activity level changes can really make a difference in the short term, but also in the long. So I know I probably sound like a broken record at the end of all of these videos, but that should only reiterate the fact that lifestyle habits wield some of the greatest powers. So get good sleep. Focus on eating real, whole, high-quality foods. A Mediterranean-like diet is a great place to start. Move that badonkadonk in an intentional and methodical way for 30 to 60 minutes a day. Assess and limit unwanted environmental and household toxins, along with unwarranted pharmaceuticals as much as possible, and go outside for a little nature therapy. I know, it's so simple. Yet, the majority of the population struggle, just like another portion of the population struggle with remembering coworkers' birthdays. So bring the health ownership back in-house and start optimizing your pretty cool meat suit and 5-pound mushy membrane like you always could. You will not be disappointed like production team is about to be when they find out there's no party. I'm kidding. Jeez, oh man, you guys take everything so seriously.